All right, Mr. O'Hara, you are the president of the Greater Bustleton Civic League. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome.
So the story that you have to tell has been going on for quite a while.
Yes.
I remember hearing about this pre-pandemic, and actually I've been to that site. So why don't we start at the very beginning? What are we talking about here, and how did it get to where we are now?
Yes, about 4 years ago, it was announced that a warehouse was going to be developed on a parcel at 1 Red Lion Road in the Bustleton section of Philadelphia. Not a lot of facts were known at that time. We did a lot of homework and research trying to gather facts as to who it was and how large it was. All of that was pretty elusive for probably the following year, right up until the developer announced that it was going to be UPS, and that it was going to be a sorting and distribution center. 1.1 million square feet of warehouse for sorting and distribution. They were originally looking for a tenant for 1.9 million square feet. So the acreage is there to expand, and we expect at some point anyone who moved in would probably take advantage of that. So 4 years ago it was announced. Probably 3 years ago it was UPS was identified. When we did get the plans in our hands, we did as much legwork and research on the plans and the impact. We have members in the community that are familiar with warehousing, that we have members in the community that are ex-city employees, streets department employees, that have experience in these matters of warehousing and the effects on traffic. So it was a pool of people that did their own homework. We consolidated all that homework and research and just came to the conclusion that this project was entirely unsuited for this parcel. The size of it, the community, businesses and residents are not against development of this parcel. I mean, best case would be it's a open space, but we are not against development. We are not against warehouses. We are not against UPS. We are solely against the scale of this particular project, a sorting and distribution facility. A pretty large operation in basically a residential area. So after we gathered all of this information and came to the conclusion that this was ill-suited, we wanted to oppose it. We actually hired a traffic engineer, a respected traffic engineer and land planner, accredited and respected, two experts who did their own analysis. We were paying for it, obviously, so it is coming from us, but their conclusion was the same as ours. They confirmed our earliest conclusion, that it was ill-suited, that the size of it, the amount of activity it was going to produce, and the effect on the area just did not make sense. Traffic-wise, land planning-wise, what it was going to do to roads and home values, just didn't square with any of the benefits that were touted. So we made the decision, our membership made a decision to oppose it. We hired zoning attorneys to file those appeals of the permits and the zoning that it was granted. So we're still actively appealing that. We never filed an injunction or a lawsuit to stop construction or development of it. We simply appealed the permits and the zoning. So that's still ongoing. We are waiting for a date in Commonwealth Court, to support our opinion on why we're opposing this particular operation. So a lot has happened in 3 years. in the process, just recently, a couple months ago, the developer of the parcel, CDC in St. Louis, Missouri, filed a lawsuit against the Greater Bustleton Civic League and also its individual executive board members, 6 of us individually. They're suing us for improper use of the legal process to stop their business. So, like I said, we never stopped development. We never, filed a lawsuit to do that. We simply filed an appeals that will question the issuance of those permits and zoning. So we're waiting for an appeal in Commonwealth Court. At the same time, on another track, we are defending ourselves against this lawsuit by CDC, the UPS warehouse developer.
And this type of lawsuit is not new. Other RCOs have faced this, and it's really just to break the RCO, so that there's unimpeded development for the developer. They can do what they want to do. For people who may not know, can you talk a little bit about what the RCO, the Registered Community Organization, what their role in development and zoning and all those kinds of things are in the neighborhood?
Yeah, registered community organizations, RCOs, there's probably 300-400 in the city of Philadelphia. And they're centered around different neighborhoods, different zip codes. Ours is the Bustleton section of Philadelphia, 19115. We encompass that entire area. And, we act, we're all volunteers. No one has a salary. There's no benefits at all. We don't have a building. We are strictly 100% volunteer, not for profit. And we just sort of look out for for the community, and we try to preserve all the good that's in Bustleton, and we try to influence any new development any new development is an upgrade or a positive for the Bustleton community. Excuse me. We are, as I said, part of 300-400 RCOs, and there's a process to register as an RCO and then to renew that registration. So we are acknowledged, accredited by the city of Philadelphia. And an RCO plays a lot of roles. We do neighborhood cleanups. We complain about crime issues when that's the case, or litter. Neighborhood-oriented topics. And zoning is one of them. And we are on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, their process, we are literally part of their zoning process. Any variance applicant is required to present their project in front of the local RCO. And the RCOs also have requirements, and we are required to entertain those presentations, take a vote, a community vote on whether to support or oppose a certain project. And that could be anything from an oversized shed to, a warehouse. So it encompasses a lot in zoning, but we are literally part of the Zoning Board of Adjustments processing. So yeah, it's an integral part if you're a developer or a homeowner that wants to, put on an addition or whatever. If it requires a variance, all variance applicants, like I said, need to come in front of the local RCO.
And so what you just said here is you're a group of community members who do not get paid for this.
Correct.
Volunteering your time.
Correct.
And here comes a developer with millions upon millions of dollars who say to you, and literally personally have said to you by virtue of the lawsuit, we don't like you standing up for your community, so we're just going to do whatever we can to silence you. That's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yes, Larry. Yeah, there's no sugarcoating that. That's the predicament we're in. Yes.
So, you've talked about having experts come in. You've talked about lawyers. Are there any other avenues for you to get some kind of relief from this? Is local government helpful? What are some of the other things that you can do to help figure this out?
Well, two tracks. One is the lawsuit against us, the other track being a zoning appeal. Uh, we were looking for assistance. I mean, the community, businesses and residents are almost unanimously opposed to this project. That rarely occurs when the two sides agree on a zoning issue. But the local businesses around this parcel and the residents in Bustleton, almost unanimously oppose this. So early in the zoning, we were looking for support from some of our elected officials in our opposition, and to increase opposition, speak for us in our fight against this development project. And I can't say we were very lucky with that. On the lawsuit against us, today there is not legislation that exists either on the state or the city level that protects volunteer groups like our own, RCOs like our own, from these types of suits. As a result of this occurring to us, we've heard some comment in, that potentially, possibly, a city council member may resurrect a bill that was introduced a couple years ago. On both the city and state level, people have mentioned trying to resurrect legislation that would protect civic leagues, nonprofits like ours to avoid situations like this. So that is great news. However, that's for the RCOs behind us. Today, there is no protection for our RCOs or RCOs in general today. In the future, if any of that legislation is enacted, it will definitely be helpful and kind of remove a lot of worry that these volunteer groups have. We're really left outside in this. So help on either track has been small to zero from our elected officials. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to bring in Denise Clay Murray here on Philadelphia Hall Monitor.
Yes, thank you for joining us, especially with all of the legal stuff that you're dealing with in this case. Yes. I guess my question is, since you all are a volunteer organization, and obviously, you had to like hire a lawyer and all of that stuff, has the city helped you at all in terms of paying for that, seeing as you are a registered community organization, which means you are technically under their auspices?
We are under their governance. So, but no, this, excuse me, a few RCOs have been sued in the past. Legislation, the issue was addressed in the past. It was never completed. But yes, we are literally part of their process and literally fully exposed to lawsuits like this. Yes, nothing was ever finalized. There was a bill passed in City Council. It was left incomplete. So any protections, any help is not available to us. Like I said, if it is resurrected and is completed, that will help RCOs behind us. But for now, today, RCO is in quite a bind. Okay.
Now, my understanding of city development is that nothing can be built unless the council person in that district introduces legislation that will allow for stuff like zoning changes, building roads, and other things that you're going to need to operate a distribution center. I used to live in South Philly, and I used to live near the UPS distribution center there. And you have like cars going in and out all night and different things. Has that legislation been introduced in council that would allow this, or do you know that?
Denise, I don't know of anything that's been introduced. I do know for a fact, I mean, it's in their plans, it's in their project plans that no roads are being added, no roads are being widened. You know, part of the plan is an investment in, you know, some streetlight technology. I think the figure is around $4 million that they say is an investment in you know, traffic, but it is really just some high tech, I believe, all high tech traffic lights. But no roads are being widened, and no roads are being added. And yes, that's my understanding. That would need to be introduced at City Council, and to my understanding, that nothing like that has been.
Okay. Now, I guess, what is the status of the land right now? Is it just empty, and as this suit continues, or this set of suits continues?
Yes, it's a 138 acre parcel. You know, it used to be, you know, an industrial site. It used to be the old Bud plant. Everyone knows it by that. That closed years ago. There was another facility that was going to move in at one point 10 years ago. Teva was going to use that as a distribution center for you know, their pharmaceutical business. But right now it's 138 acres of cleared space. It's a nice piece of open land in, you know, one of the few left in this area in Philadelphia. When, you know, best case would be you know, additional this remaining open space. Worst case being just a beehive of activity in a residential neighborhood that just can't support it. So.
Now, are there houses around this piece of land?
Yes, there are. Right in that immediate area, there are a couple of small industrial buildings and businesses, but I could show you an aerial view of it, and yes, it's almost entirely surrounded by residential. You know, it's been zoned industrial for a number of years. My own personal opinion is it probably should have been changed as the residential areas were approved to be built around it. But it remained industrial. I-2 is the category, the zoning category for the parcel, and almost entirely surrounded by residential. 2 miles from any highway, you know, just really plucked down in the middle of a very busy area today. And it's, you know, if you look at the plans, I say this often, but you look at the plans and if you digest and try to grasp the numbers that they themselves, this facility is going to produce, you don't need to be an engineer to see that it's ill-suited. You know, this project had to go through the civic design review process, and even the members of that committee stated that it's too intense of a use for this parcel, and it might be better rezoned, maybe, you know, commercial industrial, but it was a pretty intense use for this particular lot.
Okay. Has there been any movement on the part of your group or someone else to possibly buy this land back from UPS and maybe get the zoning changed then? Or is this kind of just, you know, this is where it is, and this is kind of where it has to be?
Well, that would certainly be a pleasant surprise. I'm not aware of anyone. And also, to be clear, the parcel isn't owned by UPS. The parcel is owned by a company in St. Louis, Missouri, CDC, Commercial Development Corporation, I think is the name. That is what CDC stands for. But they have a, you know, a gold bar long-term tenant with UPS, and in all of the most of the documentation that were presented has both names on it. The lawsuit against the GBCL and its members is solely CDC, and UPS's name is not on that. But all the other filings, the appeal, we communicate with CDC/UPS.
Okay. So it's CDC that's actually suing you. because
Correct.
they're saying that your opposition to the development in the way they want to do it constitutes a disturbance in their business.
Yes, I don't have the legal language in front of me, but it has to do with an abuse of the legal process to harm them. That's what they're proposing. That's what they're suggesting, that we are using this appeal process to harm them.
Okay. Well,
Thank
you
you.
so much for joining us. We
Sure.
really appreciate it, especially with, like I said, with the legal stuff hanging overhead. And I'm going to return you to my co-host, Larry McGlynn, and you're listening to Hall Monitor on WPPM 106.5.
All right, thank you, Denise. Lance, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. O'Hara, is there anything our viewers and our readers can do to support your group?
Lance, you're asking the question. So yes, as a result of this lawsuit, the Civic League, the Greater Bustleton Civic League, has D&O insurance, directors and officers insurance. That policy expires in June. Our carrier has told us they are not renewing our policy. So we are in a desperate search for D&O insurance, and I've done a lot of searching, and it's difficult to secure D&O insurance with an open claim, an open lawsuit against the RCO. So any help, any type of remedy, any suggestions are welcome. I know the legislation that was introduced a couple of years ago in City Council included some financial assistance in securing that, or even a pool of funds that could cover, an exorbitant deductible, which is a possibility. Someone offers us insurance, but with a term that includes a very large deductible, like $50,000 or something. We obviously couldn't afford that. So some solution for insurance coverage, whether it's a straight policy or a pool for a deductible, whatever that could be. Yeah, we're in desperate need of that.
And the other RCOs, have they joined with you in sending a letter to city council members explaining what a desperate situation this is?
Would they? I'm sorry, thanks.
Have they?
Have they? No, they have not. I've spoken with and I've emailed many of the RCOs in Philadelphia. They are very sympathetic and supportive of our situation. I am getting some suggestions on how to maneuver this. It's all helpful. I have to be frank, none of it looks real promising of a solution, but I'm not gonna let a rock go unturned. We're gonna continue to look for a solution to stay in business, to keep our RCO in business. We're an 80-year-old community organization. So it happened, we have been around long before RCOs were created. So it's going to be a real harm to this Bustleton community with us not around. It truly is. But yeah, help with securing insurance, D&O insurance, Lance, that would be, huge help.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So how can people reach you?
Our email is gbustletoncl at gmail.com is our email address, and our phone number I can't think of at the second. It's not off the top of my head, but we do have a
we'll put it on the screen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, email, phone call, you can leave a message, we'll get back to you the same day. But yeah, we are looking for assistance and suggestions, and we hope our elected officials offer to help us in both tracks, like I said, the lawsuit against us and then also the appeal in Commonwealth Court.
All right, Mr. Jack O'Hara, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.